Sleep. We're going to talk about what we do with a third of our lives today. We're going to dive into the parts of sleep and how to get the most restorative, amazing, wonderful nights of rest so that we wake up revitalized and ready to live our best life possible. Here we go.
Aloha. Welcome to The Art of Life. I'm Jennifer Espenscheid. This podcast is rooted in the premise that we are all creative and therefore the artists and architects of our reality. Together, we are going to explore methods that enhance our lives in fundamental ways. These techniques and practices positively affect our body, mind, and spirit, and are excellent tools for our flow and vibrant existence. So today we're going to deep dive into what I feel is the number one most important aspect of our life for health, recovery, mood, and focus, and that is sleep. We sleep a third of our lives, and often we try and put it off and push it away and save it for later and wish we didn't have to. And after this podcast, we're going to really understand it. We're going to embrace it. We're going to want to utilize it. And my goal is that you're all going to fall in love with it the way I have. Yes, we're going to fall in love with our sleep. Today, we're going to review why humans need to sleep. We're going to go over the different ages and how we sleep differently as humans. We're going to go over the parts of sleep and what happens in each of those parts. We're going to go over ways to protect our sleep, and then the rituals, otherwise known as sleep hygiene, things we can do and practices that contribute to our amazing sleep, how to set ourselves up for success. I'll give you some of the tips and tricks that I utilize. I'm going to share my sleep protocol, and then we're going to set up a strategy that's realistic for you. I'm going to have some science, some stories of sleep deprivation and what I learned from those. We're going to have lots of ideas that are proven to work well. I will share what works for me, and you can try some of those things out. We have differences that are going to affect our sleep. Understanding those sleep differences and then protecting it and having greater protocols will bring you much closer to your goals, despite the fact that we often have an uneven playing field. So to start out with, different ages, of course, have different sleep patterns. Infants sleep all the time. Toddlers might wake you up too early and need a midday nap. Hopefully, teenagers can't sleep before midnight, and it's really painful for them to get up before noon. After 60, I hear we get sleepy really early, and then we're up at 6 and maybe need to take another nap. I remember in my youth, I didn't even need sleep at all, or it didn't feel like I did. A woman's sleep needs are going to change over the course of her life and also in our monthly cycle. So as women, we get to pay even closer attention to our internal rhythms and place even more emphasis on healthy protocols during times when sleep is less optimal, like late pregnancy, when our hormones are fluctuating monthly for ovulation and bleeding, and during peri and post-menopause changes. We can give ourselves extra attention and be very nurturing of our sleep. We also have cultural differences in sleep. I grew up in America, so I can only speak to that. Here in America, it seems like we're running on fumes. Getting a tiny bit of sleep or not sleeping much is like getting a badge of honor. I felt it was the tough and necessary thing to do as a full-time student and working in the service industry, and I was no stranger to partying. It left me an average of 3 hours of sleep a night. 3 hours of sleep. That was average. So there were plenty of nights in my program where there wasn't sleep. I thought I had it handled and balanced, yet my body was paying the price. The time of year is the fourth thing I want to point out that has great effect on our energy levels and our need for sleep. I have an everlasting battery in the summer. Everything is easy, energy is plentiful, and it's because the sun is out so much longer. It changes really dramatically during the fall, and then as we're going into it, seems like it just happens quicker and quicker. Winter hibernating is a real thing, people. And sometimes when we live in climates where there is a huge fluctuation in season and the light, we really get to appreciate hibernating and give that some honor. And then in the summer, it feels like we have all this extra energy, and that's super fun, and we appreciate it a whole lot. So those are some of the differences to keep in mind. What we're going to go over primarily in this podcast is the things that we can do regardless of those differences, and also as a practice, realizing that we're not going to do this probably all the time, and it is going to fluctuate a little bit with life, because life is always changing, and therefore these protocols or these base materials or ingredients that we have, we can implement the best we can. Let's break it down by question. Why do humans need sleep? Humans need sleep. Sleep is essential for survival and optimal functioning because it serves several criteria physiologically and neurologically. It also feels to me, and it's been proven in a variety of ways, that it's also an emotional and spiritual reset. So first of all, restoration and repair. During sleep, the body performs cellular repair, muscle growth, immune system strengthening. The deep sleep triggers release a human growth hormone, and that aids in tissue repair and energy replenishment. Number two, it increases our brain function and memory consolidation. Sleep allows the brain to process and store memories. REM sleep enhances learning and problem-solving skills by integrating the information from the day into long-term recovery. So as students, when we're learning all these things and we get new sleep, we're really erasing all that work. So very important to get REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement sleep, when our eyes are moving behind our little lids. I wonder what we're doing in there. Processing, that's what we're doing. Energy conservation. So sleep reduces the body's metabolic rate and conserves energy for use during the waking hours. And I always feel like it's conserving mental energy, emotional energy, and definitely physical energy. So in situations where it was cold outside, it was much better to hibernate and sleep and rest, and then you were burning calories that you didn't have. Animals don't hunt themselves, and food didn't always just come to our doorstep with no effort. Back to the lessons. 4, toxin clearance, and this is super important for the brain. The lymphatic system, which is for another episode, is a waste clearance mechanism, and it helps clean our brain. This system becomes highly active during sleep and removes toxins like beta amyloid that contribute to neurodegenerative. That means they deteriorate our neurons. These diseases, such as Alzheimer's and a litany of other really unpleasant and sad things. So our livers at this time are filtering and cleaning out our body, and very importantly, our brain. Another thing that happens during sleep is our emotional regulation. When we sleep, hormones and neurotransmitters have a chance to come into homeostasis, which is balancing out. Sleep is vital for maintaining mental health. Our physical health and lack of sleep is linked to mood disorders, anxiety, and depression due to disruption to the neurotransmitter balance and increased cortisol levels. So we want that increased cortisol in the morning, and then we want to taper it off. And we want that to be nice and easy, and then we want to go to bed. So when all those other things are happening and cortisol spiking all over, that's when it can be harmful. I want to paint you guys a picture to help illustrate what's going on here. My metaphor is that our body, our universe, YO universe, is like Disney World. All kinds of crazy stuff goes on in the park during the day. We've got thousands of visitors. Our bodies, our minds have all this incoming information, right? We have all kinds of adventures, all things that fun are going on. We're learning things, we're seeing things, we're with our friends, we're having stresses. Just like at the park, people are going on rides, people are eating. There's all this income, and then there's all this garbage being produced, and the babies are starting to cry, and the parents are getting a little tired. What happens at Disney World every night? It closes at the same time, and then everyone leaves, and they should be doing their proper hygiene rituals and going to sleep. The same thing happens at Disney World. Out of the ground, all these little helpers come out. And so that's my visual for what we have going on in our gut and brain, all these neurotransmitters, all these hormones balancing, the biome in our gut producing the things that we need, not just to survive, but to thrive. Disney World comes back alive when it's asleep, and everything gets cleaned. Things get painted. Sometimes rides get refurbished. Everything gets stocked, right? We have all this energy coming in, so the next day, all the tourists and all this fun can be had because we have fresh food, we have clean water, we have all the gum scraped from everywhere, we have all the rides working, everything's lubricated. And then if there's more time, the park gets even better and better. Whole new rides are being constructed, right? It's kind of in comparison to, we have our minimal things that are happening when we get some sleep, and if we're getting really good sleep and extra cycles of sleep, then our skin is getting better. We're getting a new paint job. Our systems are regulating. Our muscles are being repaired. The human growth hormone is kicking in. Our immune system is functioning well. Our liver is cleaning out, and all the viruses and all the things in our body are being handled. So our immune system catches up. Our muscles aren't as fatigued the next day. We have mental clarity. And the next morning when we wake up, when Disney World opens up, we have this whole night shift going to sleep and then the day shift happening. And so more adventure can happen better. When you're falling asleep tonight, try that Disney World metaphor. It's really fun. I appreciate and give them plenty of alone time with what's going on in my system. When I go to sleep, I just thank my biome and my systems and my glands. High five. You guys do what you do. I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm going to shut the F up. So that's the imagery that can happen. And I think it's a pretty decent metaphor. It's pretty fun. Anyone who has a shortage of sleep understands these natural processes have been disrupted and that they're not being carried out. And we can get away with that for a little while, and we can get away with it longer if we do have good sleep protocols and protect the sleep we have. Why do different age humans sleep differently? Well, the duration, quality, and patterns of sleep change throughout life due to physiological, neurological, and lifestyle factors change the way we sleep. Also, evolution sets us up to do this in a tribal environment. First of all, infants. 0 to 1 years old, they sleep all the time, 14 to 17, even more hours a day. They do this because there's rapid neurological and physical development that requires frequent and prolonged sleep. REM sleep occurs in infants about 50% of the time. It's crucial for brain growth and synapses formation. They don't have a circadian rhythm yet. Toddlers and preschoolers, now we're talking 1 to 5 years of age, should get about 11 to 14 hours a day. The brain and body is continuing to develop very quickly. Growth hormone is releasing in huge peaks during those deep sleep stages. So very important that they're getting good deep sleep so the human growth hormone can work and they aren't constantly exhausted by everything that their spongy brains are absorbing. Naps are common and start to taper off as you head towards 5. A consistent bedtime routine is super important. Healthy sleep habits with kids, I can attest to this. It is amazing. Having regular bedtimes and really fun protocols with excellent sleep boundaries is mandatory. It worked really well with my kids and still reaping the benefits, and they're almost adults. School-age children, 6 to 12, need 9 to 12 hours a day. This stage demands restorative sleep that supports cognitive and emotional growth as well as physical activity. Increased time in non-REM sleep, that is going to support their learning and memory. And overstimulation from activities and screens at this point is super disruptive to that. And then the emotional body cannot catch up. And so that really starts to suffer. In teenagers, 13 to 18, they need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Puberty is really affecting things here. The production of melatonin delays the natural sleep and wake cycle. growth and emotional regulation also heavily rely on sleep. I remember when I was younger and noticing my kids how if they were tired, things could just be the end of the world. Physical exhaustion, yes, but during this time where there's so many changes in a body, it's of the utmost important. It is ultra important that they get sleep. Kids should be allowed to sleep as long as possible, and it's really going to help their cognitive growth and their emotional health. And then we have 18 to 64 or so. We need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's a little different for different people. Some people honestly don't need that much sleep, and some people need more. Sleep helps maintain physical health, mental acuity, and emotional balance, and it supports our cardiovascular and metabolic health. As we age, we need longer sleep cycles to get that human growth hormone upgrading our skin, upgrading our organs, our liver cleaning out. We're going to be able to function much better longer when we're getting good sleep. Sleep architecture does change with age, reducing deep sleep, and we get shorter REM cycles. These changes can lead to lighter and more fragmented sleep. Our mature adults, we just want to go to bed earlier. And we wake up, sometimes our circadian rhythm seems to shift, and there is often more chronic conditions in unhealthy places when we're sick, when we're recovering from different traumas. We're going to have sleep disruptions, and that's when we need to be even more careful. So those are all the different kind of sleep age-related things we're dealing with. Can you imagine if there was a family that had all of those age groups? It could be really difficult, or actually it could be, if everyone kind of respects each other and supports each other, a really beautiful family sleep system. Apparently that's how it used to be, and might even be why we sleep differently, because we evolved to. Assuming we all have fairly healthy sleep hygiene and that we're all relatively healthy and honoring our circadian rhythms, it's been addressed that in a tribal situation, it was beneficial to have someone alert at all times. In the book, Go Wild, it was chapter 5, Bodies at Rest and Why It Makes Us Sleep Better. I'm going to paraphrase here kind of what they went over. That when tribes were studied that hadn't been exposed to a modern way of living, there wasn't any fussing about people sleeping differently. There was no resistance towards it. So the babies were sleeping all the time. The young teenagers would be up much later, and so the mothers and fathers could be getting sleep after working all day. And then in the morning, the wee hours, the much more mature adults were waking up a little bit. They could handle the babies for a while. The parents slept a little bit longer to be more effective. Then they might be going back to sleep or telling stories or having their social time, and then sleeping after everyone else was up. And then the youth, the teenagers, would wake up a little later. The theory is that there was always someone in a more alert state, and that way the whole tribal situation worked better and smoother. When everyone doesn't need to sleep the same, it might be beneficial for a family and a community to all take those turns. Also, there was studies on couples, and the couples, even though they were both asleep, they would alternate deep and REM sleeps so that some sleeps would be lighter and one of them was always more alert. It suggests, and I think it's pretty valid, that we evolved so that everyone would be somewhat a little more alert. The rest of the people in the tribe or family would be able to go into deeper, more restorative sleep. I think a lot of times we want to behave just one way, and if we honor the sleep that we need, whether it's from age or our particular situation in life, we can do a lot better with the sleep that we're getting. So embracing hundreds of thousands of years of evolution might be a really good idea. So now we know why we sleep differently. Those are some of the ways. What are the parts of sleep and what happens in each? Well, there are 4 stages. 3 of them are in non-REM sleep. Each has a specific characteristic and physiological benefits. So stage 1 is light sleep. This is the transition stage of light sleep. We're going from wakefulness into sleep, and it's about 1 to 5 minutes. Our heart rate, breathing, and brain activity are slowing down. Our brain waves are slowing down. Our muscles are hopefully relaxing. This is the stage where sometimes you'll twitch, or you'll feel your partner twitch, or you'll watch your kids sleeping and they're kind of twitching as they're drifting off into sleep. This prepares the body and the mind for deeper stages of sleep, and it's said like this is a doorway. I love this stage. I call it twilight. As you're going into sleep and coming out of sleep, this is when I get some of my best ideas. We'll go into later, one of the protocols that you can install in your sleep ritual is taking an interesting idea, a visual, a beautiful thought, or something that you're working on. Focus on it during this stage because you might get some really profound ideas. I'm blown away sometimes at the solutions that'll come to things that I've been chewing on for weeks, or beautiful design ideas and amazing chemistry. Then we have stage 2, the onset of true sleep. During this stage, the body temperature drops and eye movement ceases. Brainwaves activity slow, but sleep spindles. So there's bursts of rapid brain activity and large brain waves. This is the part where we're aiding in memory consolidation. So my visual is you're booting off a computer and it has to do all that work really quick, saving and putting things away, folding and putting things to bed, a little bit of organization for kind of our later processing. That's my visual. That's not necessarily science. In that true onset of sleep, that is a key stage for cognitive processing and preparation for deeper sleep. It accounts for approximately 50% of total sleep in adults. When we're going in and out of these cycles, we're doing a lot of this getting ready and organizing to process stuff. Stage 3, now we are in deep sleep, and this is really slow wave in our brain's sleep. Brain activity shifts to slow, high amplitude delta waves. Heart rate, breathing, blood pressure, they each come to their very lowest levels. Human growth hormone is released, promoting cellular repair and immune function. And oh, we all love that. We feel so good. Our muscles are happy. Our immune system is bolstered. Our mood is better. Our hormones are balancing. It's just, it's really awesome. And that enhances our energy for the next day, and it's critical for physical restoration, growth, and immune system strengthening. Once again, very important. Then we have our REM sleep, and this is our dream sleep. And I love and appreciate REM sleep. When I'm getting good sleep, I've found recently that I'm actually remembering my dreams. During my hibernation season, when I give myself that extra time, I'm having dreams that progress night to night. REM is rapid eye movement. The brain activity resembles wakefulness. Typically in REM sleep, we are paralyzed, but our brain is very active. It's essential for emotional regulation, creativity, memory consolidation, and this really supports neuroplasticity. Each sleep cycle includes a stage of non-REM sleep followed by REM sleep, and they last approximately 90 minutes. And typically, this is how it unfolds. So early in the night, the body spends more time in stage 3 of deep sleep, and that's a lot of physical restoration. And then as the night progresses, the proportion of REM sleep increases. So you're going through similar cycles, but there's more REM sleep in that cycle later on in your sleep night. And it's dominant in your morning, which is probably why if we drift awake easily or kind of go back to sleep a little bit in there, or if I wake up in the night after my REM sleep, then I'll remember dreams. That would make sense. So those are the stages of sleep. Why do they matter? We need deep sleep to support tissue repair, immune function, and energy recovery. Then we need REM and stage 2 non-REM sleep. That's really critical for processing emotions, solving problems, consolidating memories, and overall balance. We're really starting to understand why sleep is so important and it really needs to be honored. Most studies report that regularity is important. I have better luck getting up at a certain time regularly than going to bed at a certain time. Studies show that going to bed at the certain time is actually more important. These are just goals, right? We're doing the best we can. I always look at it as 80-20. There are weeks where I'm perfect, and then there are weeks where everything's shot in terms of actual amounts of sleep, but my sleep hygiene is really good. So things to think about. We're shooting for that. Well, how can we protect our sleep? Aren't all humans kind of wrapped up in different situations?
You need to fiercely protect your sleep.
Well, that is true. A lot of people are at risk for unprotected sleep. We have, of course, hostile environments, places at war. We have situations like Burning Man. Those are the extremes on the spectrum. One is horrifying, one is absolutely delightful, but you are not sleeping, you're stressed all the time. We know that those situations are dysregulated. But we also have common things that we need to honor and help these folks out as much as possible. We have parents, especially mothers of new babies, unpaid caregivers, firefighters, typical med students, and third shift workers, and the only thing worse than that is the swing shift workers. They don't even have the same shifts, and often a lot of them are at night. So these are the people that often in our society don't have the best nutrition, they're not getting enough sleep or proper hygiene, and they don't have a lot of support. These situations are all different, but the things that we're going to learn coming up are going to help us so that no matter what inconveniences we're having or situations we put ourselves in, to be a parent or to be a firefighter, you are doing really important work. And maybe we can get some support and better protocols. I have a lot of firefighter friends that say there are more healthy protocols being implemented, different alarm protocols and stress management that's helping, as well as emotional protocols that didn't used to be available. Third shift workers, this is a big one. They will need to be really regularly with their sleep and have some kind of supplementation for vitamin D and healthy lights. Swing shift workers need to work towards better shifts. If you can introduce good sleep hygiene protocols, that's really going to help. If you're a caregiver or know someone who is, they need breaks and consistent sleep time. I want to mention a few eras that I went through where I had very poor sleep and really bad habits around it. My body did suffer. It was through these situations that I learned to appreciate and really nurture my sleep. Some of you may be able to relate with some of these things, and although they might be different than your exact situation, you'll be able to see why implementing strategies are so important. When I was in college, my appendix burst, and I was attaining an architectural degree, trying to do that at the same time as recovering, and it ended up bursting 3 times. There were complications. I had lots of antibiotics that destroyed my gut biome, dysregulating all my hormones. I did not protect my sleep, and I suffered. When I was pregnant and starting to study sleep, I realized for the first time how much my digestion issues and different low mood and weight issues had to do with my sleep.
You're gonna mess with my sleep?
Now I was studying it for my babies, which weren't born yet. When I was diving into that, it finally sunk in. This is something I'm gonna protect for them. Once they were born, I had to fall in sync, get as much work done during the day, pay attention and raise them. When I would put them down as new babies, I would go to sleep right away. I would be so exhausted, and there was tons still to do, but I knew they'd be up all night, and they were very early risers. I wanted to get a head start on the day, so I would go to sleep right when they went to bed and get a nice 3-4 hour chunk. Altering my sleep schedule helped my body really start to heal very quickly.
You will get so good with this, no one dares mess with your sleep. Be fierce.
Later on, when I had a preemptive double mastectomy, once again, lots of complications. This was the first time I had time to sleep, and I wanted to sleep and couldn't. And this was torturous. When people want to torture people, they don't let them sleep. And you just fall apart physically, mentally, emotionally. It was weeks where I couldn't sleep. It was painful. There was medications. There was trying to hold on to the frayed ends of life and be a semi-effective mother. And my body couldn't repair. So as soon as I could get into any rhythm and start to wean off the medications and embrace sleep, that's when I really fell in love with it. I saw my body recovering quicker, and I saw my life come back together. It felt like such a shambles, so much pain. So in those deep states, as long as I could sleep, I would. And sometimes that was only 4 hours a night. I just kept adding to it. And this, my friends, is where I put together, and now it's widely celebrated, thank God, that sleep is important and that there's ways you can improve. Even if you don't think you're a great sleeper, maybe we'll give you a new sleep story. It's okay, because we can always improve, either by one habit or maybe a little bit. Maybe the length won't improve, but the quality is definitely going to, and that's a big deal. Now we're going to go over the rituals and protocols. This is called sleep hygiene. And these are all pretty basic things you can do for not much money, and most of them are just free. So, woohoo! I love action items. I love homework. Okay, sleep hygiene refers to habits and practices that optimize sleep quality by aligning with the body's natural circadian rhythm and supporting the psychological process required for restful sleep. And here are the key components. I broke this down into 11 different areas, 11 different protocols. So don't be overwhelmed. We'll get to all of them, and then we'll pick a few. And a bunch of them you're probably already doing. So not as much homework as it sounds like. One, what you do during your day definitely affects your sleep. A few of the things to do during the day are to be active and to get in the sunlight in the morning as soon as you can. So early as possible, get those sun's rays through the eyes. This signals our hypothalamus and our pineal gland to gently spike our cortisol. This is when cortisol is good. We need that. And to switch from melatonin to serotonin. So our guts now signal to start producing more serotonin. We're going to become alert and lively. In the winter, when it's gloomy out, I use my sad light. It's huge and it's horribly ugly, and I just love it. So if I can't sit in the window and do a 15-minute read or some journaling, I will do it with my sad light. And sunlight gives you wings. If you work at night, you're going to need to supplement and have some kind of morning. So that will be your challenge, to look for solutions. I then love to exercise somewhere in the morning. So I have my caffeine in the morning, and I'm doing these things so that my energy level is up for my day, and then also I'm crescendoing at night. All right, time to cook up some amazing sleep. For our visual here, let's imagine that we have a curry and we're adding ingredients to it. Our sleep is our beautiful meal, our creation, and these are all the things we're throwing in the pot. So first, consistent sleep schedule. This means going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even weekends. Good luck. Good luck. All right, so maybe we can do that 5 days a week or 4, or get close, or maybe it's 80-20. I tend to batch it, like Burning Man, 100% shot, 100% shot. I choose that, I embrace it, I ramp up to it, and then afterwards I just go into that internal processing for all the emotional things and also the physical and mental recovery. So it's very important to reinforce the body's circadian rhythm. Makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up. Sometimes when we have to get back into it, Remember how that was when you're starting school after summer break and maybe you're working late? It's murderous for a week. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, it's like half as painful. So it gets easier, right? The more we can stick with it, the easier it gets. These irregular sleep patterns, when people are walking around in a fog, it's caused by these irregular sleep bedtimes and awake times. They're calling it social jet lag now, by the way. We're going to do our best to protect the sleep when we can get it, and then get back to our routines as soon as possible when we divert. I do thrive on extra sleep when I get back. I do think it makes a difference. Studies kind of show that it doesn't, but I'm sure a new study is going to come out that says it will. My science of one says that yes, sleep when you can. When you can sleep longer, it's going to regulate your emotions and fix up your body and your spirit for sure. Okay, a little tip when it comes to jet lag. Jet lag happens when you are flying into a completely different time zone, when you're flying 19 or 20 hours or sometimes 24 hours because of layovers, and now you're in a place that is awake when your home time zone is asleep. What I do in those situations is get immediately into that time zone so that even if I don't want to and I'm landing as the sun's rising, that's my new morning and I'm on that schedule. Some people supplement with melatonin as it gets to be evening and they're not tired because it's their awake time. That's jet lag, my friends. So I ignore it. I put a lot of emphasis on my circadian rhythm, on the sun. That's how we evolved. We evolved with the sun. We evolved because of the sun. And so I just worship the sun in that sense. And it actually really works. 2 on our big, long, amazing list of sleep hygiene habits is a sleep-friendly environment. This may seem obvious, yet a lot of us don't set up our perfect sleep environment as well as we could. We want it dark, we want it cool, and we want it quiet. So dark. We're switching from serotonin, we're getting these signals that the light is leaving, and we're going to start producing melatonin. This is the hormone that is letting the body know it's time for sleep and we're going to relax. So I draw the curtains. I always have an eye mask. I don't leave anything to chance. I want it dark. I want no information from the sun or any other light going to my eyes when I'm trying to sleep. We want it cool. Cooler temperatures are more optimal for maintaining sleep. I don't even turn on the furnace upstairs. I have several blankets that I can throw off in the middle of the night, but we want it cool. Don't sleep in a ton of stuff that's hard to get off. Some people run more hot, and there's a challenge when there's 2 different people in the bed. So one of you could have a blanket, there's heating pads, there's an array of ways to solve this. But if you can cool your sleeping area and cool your body, that's going to be a really huge benefit. And then you want it quiet. So sleeping disturbances happen, right? I think this is probably the time to introduce the challenges that we have when family members are on different sleep schedules, and when we're sharing a bed or a bedroom with someone who snores, it's a big deal. So there are lots of things we can do. When you hear your kids laughing in the background, that's not the worst way to fall asleep. But when there's things in your exterior environment that are irregular and waking you up, it's really disruptive. You're not going to heal. You're not going to feel great the next day. So there's litanies of earplugs that you can get, and you can also listen to binaural beats. You can have someone sleep in another room snoring. But this is a situation that I know intimately. At least half of my partners have been heavy, irregular snorers, and it definitely takes a toll. So something to consider. Nobody wants to be disruptive. Something to work on together for everyone's, mutual benefit. I have an app that has rain, and I love listening to that when I'm in situations where not everyone wants to go to bed, but I do. or I'm in the same room as people that snore. There's white noise machines. Some people swear they are soothed by having the TV on. I would really recommend maybe a talk radio in another language. Certainly not the news. All of that is happening when you're in theta and other states where you're highly suggestible. Things are coming into your sphere. I would suggest other kinds of white noise if at all possible. The third sleep habit, and we're learning a lot about this now, is the limited light exposure before bed. So what does this mean? Avoiding blue light from screens. This means phones, tablets, TVs, at least an hour or two before bedtime. It's the light and a lot of the things you're doing on there that are harmful for your sleep. Things that maybe aren't the best vibration, aren't the best energy, are entering your realms through your devices, and this harmful blue light. And the amount of information that's coming in, right? You're leaving your brain this state of activity instead of relaxation. Blue light suppresses melatonin and delays the onset of sleep. Exposure to bright lights signals the brain that it's still daytime and it's disrupting your circadian rhythm. Some of the things I do that work really well, not just for ambiance, but for putting my body into a really relaxed state is, overall, I'll dim the lights. As the evening goes on, we just dim them, dim them, dim them. I also have lights one in each of our rooms that has 2 movable lights on it. And one of them I cover in red cellophane. So if we want to be in our room, we can switch to red light when it's evening. I also have these red reading lights. They clip on to your book, and they have an array of like amber, red, and you can dim or brighten them. And that's a perfect way. The light is pointing at your book, not at you, and it's also a much warmer spectrum. So those are a couple of the things I do. I have puck lights that are red. I have these kind of tower lights that light an area in the best possible color for trying to go to sleep. All right, now we are on to number 4 habit, and this is bedtime ritual. It's a calming pre-sleep ritual like reading, meditating, or taking a warm bath. It's important because it's signaling the body that it's time to wind down. It's reducing cortisol, which is the stress hormone that we don't want in the evening. We do it for our kids, right? You hear about that a lot. Like, okay, it's story time. It's part of a ritual. It's something fun we get to do together. It's something that's useful and imaginative. And it's also signaling the child, okay, it's time to put my jammies on, and then we get my stuffy and my blankie, and I have already brushed my teeth, and now I'm ready to hang out and have a story, and it's great. So why wouldn't we do that for ourselves? I love having story time. And it's not necessarily the same thing every day, but I have definitely have relaxing things that I do. So my protocol, I like to prep my area, have that ready. I start the humidifier by my bed. I set out something I'm going to read. Sometimes it's some quick reading like National Geo, or a book I'm reading that has short chapters. I love oracle decks, something meditative and thoughtful. So I'll have that. I'll have my lights sitting by my bed, and then I'll go through my wind down. So I love just washing my face, brushing my teeth, some lymph massage. I guess it would be called a beauty ritual. Typically, once again, the lights are dimmed, or I have my red lights, nice soft music, and then I love to stretch, whether it's a relaxing yoga routine or some stretching while I'm listening to something interesting and beautiful. And then I will do my meditation in bed. Usually that's something that's a little bit thoughtful, and I'll drift off into sleep with my eye mask. We have hopefully 8 hours that we're leading into. It's been really rewarding for me, is paying that little bit of extra attention to right as you're falling asleep and you're going into that twilight phases of sleep with some sort of intention, whether it's gratitudes or zooming in on a project or a meditation, imagining your body healing, and your system's regulating, I highly recommend utilizing that beautiful time. If you go into sleep in a gorgeous way, I believe you're going to direct your sleep, possibly your dreams, and you're going to wake up feeling so much better. So we'll get more into that later. So that's a big part of it, that sleep ritual. And that's something that's so individual, and I promise you're going to have fun with that. Where are we? There's a lot here. Okay, everyone take a sip. We can do this. We're going to sleep well tonight. Okay, 5. We're going to limit stimulants. We'll limit them later. For real though, we're going to limit stimulants later in the day. So avoiding the caffeine and the nicotine and other uppers later are the things that can really disrupt your sleep, because caffeine blocks adenosine. What is adenosine? It's a chemical that builds up sleep pressure. What is sleep pressure? Okay, this will just be a quick side note. Sleep pressure is also called sleep drive, and it's a biological mechanism that builds up in your body the longer you stay awake, signaling to your body that it's time to sleep. And it increases as you remain awake, and it decreases as you sleep, reaching its lowest point after a full night's sleep. You don't want things that block adenosine when you're getting near sleep. I love that sleep pressure. So intense. The key points about sleep pressure, I find this so fascinating. It has a huge impact on sleep. So when your sleep pressure is high, it becomes easier to fall asleep. And maybe the sleep pressure is what is pushing our eyelids closed and shutting off our brain. Make sure you have enough sleep pressure, like paying attention to this podcast, creating this podcast. That's cognitive demand, right? We are thinking, we're paying attention. Things like stress, illness, these are all things that can increase sleep pressure. So while sleep pressure is a homeostatic process, it's based on our body's needs. Our circadian rhythm, our internal clock, also plays a role in regulating sleep throughout the day. So that's the real deal. These days when it's getting dark so early, I can literally feel the pressure coming down over my head, my eyelids. It's 4:30 and I'm exhausted. Super fun. All right, that was kind of our side note. Back to sleep hygiene. Number 6, we need to have a great sleep filter. So when some people talk about managing stress and anxiety, my term for that is sleep filter. That's using techniques that are really healthy and eliminating things that are not healthy. So good ones are things like journaling, deep breathing, mindfulness, addressing the things we need to earlier in the afternoon so that we're not thinking about it when we're near bedtime. High stress and chronic stress increase and dysregulates cortisol. So too much up and down. And that interferes with the body's ability to relax. And persistent worry can lead to insomnia and fragmented sleeping. So having this filter is extremely important. So I kind of see it as a net, and the net has these crisscross webs, right? And my net is, of course, brilliant, sparkly, and extremely strong. It's a really strong net. So during the day, of course I have a filter. I have my protocols to allow in aligned energy, and everything else is not getting through the net. At night, imagine the net where the tendrils or the threads get thicker and thicker. So my net gets more and more fierce and much more solid. It's still luxurious, it's still flexible, but it is impenetrable. And one of the primary things that I hear from people, and it makes me just cringe, is that they listen to the news as they fall asleep or before bed. So this is one example of things we need to filter out. It's non-negotiable. Please do not watch the news at all, but certainly before bed. First of all, it's overly dramatic. It's meant to get your attention. And as we're going into sleep, we're in theta state. During this state, we don't have an analytical mind. You're tired. You're having more melatonin. Your body is trying to shut down, and these ideas are coming in that are going right past your analytical mind and right into your unconscious. This is the science behind the phenomenon of people waking up with symptoms they never had before. And having the idea in mind that they need the prescription that was on the commercial the night before. People spend billions of dollars on those commercials, on the news, and then people will wake up worried about fires that are, we want to be compassionate when there are things in the world, but we don't need to bring those into our psyche and into our unconscious and have the chemicals in our body as if they were happening to us. No news. Protect our theta states. When we have this discerning filter, we're setting boundaries with the people in our home. We need to have those conversations ahead of time. Say, hey, listen, I'm gonna be having better sleep. I'd love you to join me in this. It includes not having the news on, violent shows, super loud music, or whatever it is that you say. Intrinsically, this is a bit jarring for me before I'm trying to go to bed. Let's try this for 2 weeks and see what happens. You will be absolutely delighted with how much better things get. It's been over 8 years ago. I turned off my TV and I've never turned it back on. Most of the things I need to learn about, I can read about or research. Watching them on the news is being emboldened into my brain and my sense of well-being. So that's one of the first things to filter out. Talking to the people around you so they understand what's going on and they can support you. If they can't support you, then that's another challenge to be faced. And then have your beautiful things ready. So now we're taking away things that are harmful for our sleep. So we're creating more time for ourselves now. And now we can implement and install these new ingredients. So we have things like, it could be oracle cards, it could be reading, doing some yoga, a new beauty ritual you want to do. It could be light cleaning that's meditative to you. It could be chanting, dancing, you name it, intimacy with a partner, massage techniques. There's so many wonderful things that you can now install where you've unplugged something that was harmful before. All right, so now we're going back to our curry. We are on number 7 ingredients that we're gonna start mixing in this beautiful concoction, and that's limiting daytime naps. Naps aren't something I can really speak much on because I don't take naps, but my understanding is that they're amazing. What I've read and listened to about them, my friends that take short naps, they are very restorative, and you just don't want to do them too late in the day or too long of naps late in the day, because once again, your sleep pressure is going to be dissipated. I love that twilight time before and after sleep, so I am going to try to work in a nap sometime, maybe midday, so that I can have a whole nother set of this magical imaginarium time. But yeah, watch your sleep pressure. Number 8, okay, we're getting there, our cake is starting to form, is regular physical activity. So this is something that I think you can do pretty much any time. Probably don't want to do something really exerting right before bed because you might be kind of ramped up. I like doing it in the morning. It sets the tone for the day, gives me energy, and so you're engaging in this activity that is going to tire you out. It's going to energize you, and then when the arc is right, your body's just going to be like, hey, I need some effing sleep. And the cool thing about it is that your brain is usually tired because of all the interactions and the cognitive load. I know people that have to exercise like 3 hours a day or do something really intense in the morning, but get that body nice and tired. Before bedtime, it can be really beneficial to use a foam roller, do very gentle stretches, easeful dancing, meditative yoga, things like that. Your body's going to really thank you for it and want to shut down. All right, 9, no heavy food or meals before bed. Your meals that are within an hour or two of bedtime or right as you're going to bed are going to disrupt your sleep. They might help you get to sleep, but they're going to be pretty disruptive. Digestion requires energy. Science shows that it messes with that transition into sleep. Sleep is our time to repair. If all our energy is being utilized for digesting, then that repair is put off. And we want that human growth hormone. It's so important. So during this magical critical time, if I'm thinking of eating before bed, I usually just have some warm water, I have some supplements I put in it, and I get into a spot where I'm really excited about being as empty as possible so that all that magic can happen. Think Disney World. It would be like everyone's coming out to clean and you throw a bunch of extra garbage on it. They have to wade through that and don't get to the garbage they were trying to get to in the first place. 10, we're on to 10, we're almost there, you guys. No screen time in bed. Bed is meant for sleeping and sex or intimacy. So when you work in bed or when you're scrolling in bed, you're confusing the brain on what it is you're supposed to be doing there, and the brain's going to stay active. One of the worst things you can do when you wake up is start scrolling, or scrolling first thing in the morning, or being on your phone as you go to bed. It shouldn't happen. I'm so serious about this. It makes a huge difference in life. I don't look at my phone except to turn off my alarm. I will touch it, and then I will hit play on if I need a breath, a YouTube in the morning, or if I want some meditation music. That's it. And I have that queued up before I go to bed. So it's a huge tip. Limit the screen time. One of the things that you can do, and I can't show you because I'm recording on my phone, is you can get a red light filter for your phone. I click it 3 times, the whole screen turns mostly red. That way, in the later evening, if I have to look at my phone or make a call, it's of a red tone. So that's been really helpful. Our last little ingredient would be avoiding alcohol or too much to drink late at night. So fluid intake, especially for some people, is going to have you getting up to pee at night, which is highly disruptive. And it leads to less restorative sleep. Everyone has different bladders. I am very lucky. I am a pee camel. I can go to bed well hydrated, and usually I'm fine. If I do get up, I keep the eye mask mostly on, dim light, and get right back to bed and sleep again. The difference with alcohol is that it's dehydrating you as you sleep. The sugars are contributing to that dehydration. It disturbs your sleep patterns. It's taxing the liver while it's trying to keep out your body, and it's increasing inflammation. So if you're having a couple drinks earlier in the evening, that's great. If you keep drinking, you're just exacerbating all these things that happen. So it would be like back to Disney World, and we're going to try and repair some muscle and flesh out our brain so we're bright and beautiful and feel amazing. We're dumping syrup and alcohol all over our liver and everything trying to clean up. So those are the visuals that I have. Why would I do these things right before I'm going into this restorative part of my night? That extra drink is only going to hurt. Really, it's only going to hurt. Alcohol and cannabis, we often think help us go to sleep, and they might induce drowsiness, but what actually happens is it's disrupting deep sleep and REM sleep later in the night. So you might be able to get to sleep, but your sleep is going to be lighter. It's not going to be as good. So that's our concoction for sleep hygiene. We're going to get great sleep, wake up and be more effective. It's going to make it easier to get to sleep and stay asleep. It's going to have us feeling rested. Our body is going to be repaired, our immune system is going to be stronger, and it's a foundation for excellent physical, emotional, and cognitive health. Sleep hygiene. I love it. I love it. You're welcome. So what about the times where we make choices to experience low quality sleep situations? I think when we do, just admit that those times are worth it, right? Maybe it's a road trip we're on to a wonderful place, spending time with your friends and you don't want to go to bed. You're traveling, working on something you're passionate about. There might be a crisis too. In those situations, just do the best you can. There's still a lot of tools. I want to show you my kit. So this is what I travel with. This is what I take to Burning Man. It's my little bag of sleep tricks. And this is everything I need in the RV or on the plane. I have it right next to me. And in it, I will have, I don't have them here. Oh, here they are. I'll have my earbuds plugged in and charged. I'll have a charger so that I always have my energy close The last thing you want is if you have a sleep app and your phone runs out of battery. So I always have a charger in there. You can be charging your phone, set your battery far away from you while you sleep. I'll have an extra pair of headphones in case my earbuds run out. I'll always have a light so I'm not waking anyone else up, or I might need to find something. All simple headlamps now also have a red setting. I have lip balm, nasal spray, and a hair clip, and then I always have some sort of sleep mask. So right there, all in one bag, I pretty much have everything I need to shut it down and get a good night's sleep. So that's my kit. Those are for extreme circumstances. Once again, it's a ritual. I'll see this bag and I'll really feel my eyelids get heavier. It's like my body just knows. It's my bedtime story. I'm this little kid. This is my binky. These are my things. Earplugs. All the things that are going to help me cuddle up like a little kid in bed and just love it. Everything can happen around me and it'll all be there tomorrow, and it's awesome. Another thing that a lot of people utilize in crisis situations, and hopefully not chronically, and I have used some forms before, of course there's a variety of sleep aids, and we're not going to get into those here. That's something to utilize when you think you need to. Just always look at the contradictions and embrace the choice to utilize them, then get right back into the swing of things as soon as you can. Oh my God, we have such an awesome curry. It's so wonderful. I love it. What? You're an overachiever? You want an A+ in this course? You want more information on things you can do to make your sleep better? Me, pick me. Once you start falling in love with sleep, there's no end to it. I promise you can get here too. So here are a few other things. I'll just sprinkle in here that some of them I'm trying. There are some things that are beneficial to take right before bed that help heal your gut or help other processes in the body. Some of the things I'm taking right before bed with some warm water are L-theanine, inulin, which is a prebiotic, glycine, and L-glutamine. These promote healing in the gut lining, cool the body. It's always a little bit better if our temperature drops a little bit, and are really good for our biome. So there's tons of things you can take before bed that potentially have a really positive effect. Something I listen to while I go to sleep, and it's set on a timer, it'll turn off after a half hour, are binaural beats. The idea is that with headphones or just listening to meditative music, calming frequencies help you better get into theta and then delta sleep waves. There's apps. So I had an app, and I did this for several years. They're alarm clocks, but they help you wake up at the right time in your sleep cycle where you're most alert. Let's say you set your alarm for 6 a.m. It's gonna wake you up between 5:30 and 6 a.m. at the latest. If you're at an optimal time to wake up, it'll start the alarm then, and you'll feel more refreshed than if you woke up at a less optimal time. So those are some fun things to look into. Some people are using the Aura rings to help track their sleep, and that can get kind of exciting because you get sleep scores and things like that. I haven't done that yet. And then you can have meditations, visualizations. I, at one point in my life, recorded my voice with some binaural beats over it and would listen to them as I fell asleep. So there's all these different things that you can keep layering on top to really utilize and get the most out of your sleep. I would actually really love to hear from you guys. What are some of the things you're already doing? If there's something here that worked well for you, I'd love to hear about it. And I would love even more if there was something that I haven't thought of yet. Please let me know what that is. I want to keep learning and having better sleep too. So leave a comment if you like some of this information and it's giving you more ideas and you find value to it. Please give me a like. One of the last things we're going to go over here is how to set yourself up for success. To set yourself up for success means getting your environment in order soon, not right before you want to go to bed when you're tired. We have a soothing area, clean up your area a little bit. This all does make a difference. For me, I have my supplements pre-mixed in a big jar, so all I have to do is warm up some water, put a scoop in, Make things really easy for yourself. Do the work ahead of time. Have your reading out, have your humidifier on, have your sleep sack with all your stuff in it. All of it's pre-thought out. And you're going to go into bed in a much better state. You're going to have better sleep cycles, and you're going to have a way better day tomorrow. We have gone over a lot of material here. Why humans sleep, why different ages sleep differently, what the parts of sleep are, and what happens in all those parts of sleep. We've gone over how to protect our sleep, all those rituals and protocols that are part of all the ingredients that go into our sleep. And we know that we need to set ourselves up for success. Now it's time to create a sleep strategy just for you. There are a few questions to ask. 1, how much time can you dedicate? Now remember, if you don't think you have any time, it might be because you have to take some things out in order to free up time. So some of those things that you could take out would be watching an extra TV show, or having the news on, or doing that last thing to clean up the kitchen. Try to carve out some time, and maybe it's just 5 minutes at first, but if you eliminate some things, then you're going to have potentially an area where you can install new and better things. How much time can you dedicate? What can you take out of your evening? Let's pick 1 or 2 things off this list of things you want to implement for tonight. Let's say you don't think you have much time, but you are going to unplug the TV right now, and you're not going to scroll. Let's say you lay in bed, or after dinner you sit on the couch and scroll. Don't do that. If it's not for a purpose, take that half hour and install one of our better rituals. So as an example, we could wash our face, brush our teeth with red light or low light, and put some yoga on and do some stretching. Now you're winding down, doing some stretching. Have conversations earlier in the day if you have other people that aren't in sync with what you're doing yet, and they might want to join you. Now you have 1, maybe 2 things to install for tonight, but you can say, hey, no, really, I'm going to try this again. You're saying this to yourself and your family, and then give it a go again and really start protecting it. So the thing you can do easiest is take stuff out. You can increase your filter, increase your mesh size, and really start honoring that and giving yourself the best potential night's sleep to heal and recover. As time goes on, you're going to be able to add into this. After a couple weeks, just give it your all with a couple new things, give it a couple weeks, and then look back and reassess. How are you feeling different? Are the days a little bit easier? Are you feeling better in the morning? Remember, as you're going through this process, it's important to be your biggest fan. You are the architect and director. Do your best, and on a different day, your best might be different. Today, my best might be extraordinary. I might be sharp, on my A game, wind down appropriately and have great night's sleep. Tomorrow, something else is going to happen, and that's okay. Start today. It is possible to start today, and then add that 1 ingredient. It might make the day easier tomorrow. It might be as easy as just not having the afternoon cup of coffee. That took you less time, right? Or the 30 minutes of news. It's taking you less time. The scrolling, less time. You just gained all this time. That's amazing. That's like some really effective math. You subtract and you're actually gaining. In a few days, add another component. Add your red light. Get something as simple as red cellophane, or dim your lights. In a few weeks, check, and at first what seemed like effort is going to start to be really fun, and you'll get into it more and more. You will become a champion sleeper. It's going to be great, especially compared to the sleep that you were having that you didn't feel was healthy or replenishing. So please let me know how it goes. I'm really excited to see what you want to try. I'm excited to see what works. So tell me. Give me all the gab. I would love to know what you decide, and all those updates on what's best for you. Also, if you have methods that we haven't gone over, please share them so that we can all learn from you and be better sleepers. I would love feedback. It makes it a lot more fun. Give me a like, and if you subscribe, you're going to get reminders on the art of life, other methods and tools and tricks that are going to make life more effective. We can all learn and be enlivened creators and co-create an even better existence together. Thank you.